My search for answers about the killing games brought me to the Despair Pub, a seedy establishment in downtown New Weekesburg with plenty of information to go around. After talking to the bartender, I was directed to a suspicious character named Pokerface, who claims to have the information I need. Hopefully, this isn't yet another dead end. So you can tell Shmaluigi when the next killing game will happen? I asked him.
Not exactly. I know a guy who knows a guy who has that info, he told me.
Oh, well then, can you tell Shmaluigi where to find him? He smirked in response.
That's not how this works. You don't contact them, they contact you. You gotta keep this kind of stuff on the down low when it comes to business like this. I thought an ace detective like you should know this.
Alright, what does Shmaluigi have to do?
Give me your number and I'll get it to my guy who can get it to their guy. They'll call you with instructions when they're ready. Be sure you answer the first time.
I wrote down my phone number on a piece of paper and set it across the table to him.
Cool. We're done here, he said.
That was it? There was no way I was getting this for free, right? No catch? I asked.
Nah, no catch.
Well, I certainly wasn't going to complain about that. I left the pub and started walking back to my office. Nothing I could do now but wait. Several days passed with no contact from this mysterious person. I was beginning to wonder if they were ever going to call at all. Maybe I was just being impatient. Maybe I was being paranoid and overthinking this even. But this was my last lead, and if this didn't pan out, I'd probably have to drop the whole thing. I wondered how much longer I should keep waiting. I went to bed, hoping once again that tomorrow would finally be the day something would happen. I was woken up in the middle of the night by the sound of my phone ringing on the nightstand. Wondering what time it was, I took a moment to look at my alarm clock. 2:01 in the morning? Seriously? I answered anyway, hoping that this was the mysterious contact at long last. Shmaluigi, private investigator, I mumbled, still trying to wake up. A garbled voice came through the phone.
Blue Woods, Tuesday, 9 p.m. Be there if you want to see the killing game.
With that, the mysterious voice immediately hung up. I quickly grabbed my notebook and wrote down the details. I was too tired to give it much thought at the time and quickly went back to sleep. Finally, the day was here. After making the necessary preparations and travel arrangements, I arrived at Boo Woods around 8 o'clock. Waiting around for an hour may not be a lot of people's idea of fun, but hey, better that than being late and missing out on the whole thing. I was pretty nervous about the investigation, but excited to get to business, kind of like how I feel whenever I'm on my way to a mafia investigation. As I walked through the forest, keeping an eye out for anything that looked odd, my mind started wandering. Thinking back on what had led me up to this point, I couldn't help but feel that it just seemed too easy. Actually, getting to this point took a lot of research and investigation, sure, but once I got to the Despair Pub, everything was smooth sailing. I talked to a guy and he gives me the information I'm looking for. No payment, no catch, nothing. It was almost as if someone wanted me to be here, and frankly, I wasn't sure if that was a good thing or a bad thing. As I walked into a clearing in the woods, I suddenly felt something hit the back of my head, and everything went black. When I woke up, I was tied to a chair in a dark room, lit only by a single light bulb hanging from the ceiling. As I looked around for any clue about my surroundings or possibly something I could use to escape, a dapper Monty-Mole walked into the light. We had never met personally, but I recognized him immediately. My greatest enemy, Monty Brando. With every part of me that hated Mr. Morris, I despised this guy probably 10 times as much. He was the boss of one of the most powerful mafia in the Mushroom Kingdom, but that's not exactly why I considered him to be my greatest enemy. Oh no, it was far more personal than that. Years ago, I lost what I had loved most, all thanks to this scum. From that day on, I swore I would dismantle his organization and every other lousy mafia that popped up.
Shmaluigi, we meet at last,
Brando said, in the usual calm demeanor he was always noted for. Monty Brando, I snarled at him.
Ah, good, so you do recognize me. I thought IG may have hit you on the head too hard when he brought you here. I was hoping we would have a chat before getting down to business.
Shmaluigi doesn't have time to deal with the likes of you right now. He's on his way to investigate the killing game. He chuckled.
Shmaluigi, how can someone be so intelligent yet so dull? How amusing.
I was confused. What are you talking about?
Do I really have to spell it out for you, detective? There is no killing game. There never was any killing game. I have eyes and ears everywhere, Shmaluigi. I know exactly what you were up to, and I knew if I had false information planted in the right places, you would walk right into my trap. And here you are.
I couldn't believe what I was hearing, and yet it made perfect sense. Everything I had thought about was right. Someone indeed wanted me to be here, but it was more nefarious than I ever could have imagined.
Here's the deal, Shmaluigi. I know you've been trying to destroy my organization since you joined the NWPD. I didn't pay it too much attention at the time. You weren't the first overzealous rookie to try something like that, and I had no reason to believe you'll be the last. Nothing ever came of it, of course, and I assumed you were just another 2-bit detective. But that all changed a few months ago. You ran off to Rogueport, studied under that Fulbright character, and up to dismantle that prosecutor's mafia in the span of less than a week. That's when I realized that you just might be a problem after all. I thought when I heard of your demise at the sheep pasture that it was the end of you. But then you came back. So this time, I'm going to make sure you're taken care of. Permanently.
Brando motioned, and a spindly-looking robot with mismatched parts stepped into the light, its feet clinking loudly on the floor.
IG?
Ready and awaiting orders.
The robot droned.
Terminate him.
Proceeding.
My life flashed before my eyes as the robot raised its gun at me. Suddenly, a bucket fell on its head from the ceiling.
Error. Vision obstructed.
The robot said, putting away its weapon to try and remove the bucket. As I looked around for where it could have come from, a familiar avian landed on the robot's shoulders.
I approach thee in order to engage thee in battle forthwith,
exclaimed the Goose as he shoved the pointy end of his signature pipe into the robot's mechanical chest.
Manufacturer's protocol dictates that I cannot be captured.
The robot said as it deactivated and fell to the ground in a pile of scrap. Mr. Goose? I exclaimed.
My warmest salutations and greetings, my most esteemed compatriot, but an inkling has chanced upon mine attention that there exists dark schemings against your person,
Mr. Goose said before cutting the ropes with a single bite of his bill.
Come, we have not time to dawdle and make acquaintance. It behooves us to fly, at once! 'Tis a mere figure of speech for yourself.
Wait, where's Brando? I wondered aloud, just before a red bolt of light shot out of the darkness straight towards me.
Time to take matters into my own hands,
Brando said as he stepped into the light, holding IG-11's gun. That was no gun. That was some sort of sci-fi laser blaster.
Goodbye, Shmaluigi.
I skillfully dodged every single one of Brando's laser shots across the room. Okay, actually, I probably looked more like a cheap flopping around out of water, and at one point I tripped over something. But the important thing is that I didn't get hit by any of the lasers. Luckily, I was able to take cover.
You're quite the tenacious one, Detective, but don't think you can outsmart me,
Brando said, pausing between blaster shots. Just then, a familiar honk, followed by the sounds of a struggle, came.
What the? Let go of that, you bothersome waterfowl!
Mr. Goose, I said, peeking up from behind the object I was hiding from. Not that I could see much in the darkness of the room.
Let not your mind be troubled, my dear Sir Shmaluigi. I have taken the liberty of seizing the foul trickster's armaments.
Relieved, I came out from behind the cover and went over to Mr. Goose and Monty Brando. I had waited for this moment for years. You're finished, Brando. Prepare to face justice.
Such hubris. Until we meet again, Detective,
he said, and before we knew it, he had burrowed down into the dirt floor and tunneled away.
Fie, the dastardly fiend has thusly absconded.
Slippery little mole. Well, at least we both got out of that unharmed. Thanks for the help, Mr. Goose. Shmaluigi owes you one.
Be cordially assured, my friend. The pleasure resides in entirety with myself.
Alright, let's get out of here. Help Shmaluigi find the door. I walked into the Sipping Time Cafe, and as usual, I was greeted by the shy guy working the counter.
Shmaluigi, how's my favorite customer?
Doing good today, I replied.
Glad to hear it.
The usual? You know it.
Hey, how did that killing game thing turn out? You ever get to the bottom of that?
It's a long and complicated story.
Maybe you should write about it sometime. Ooh, or maybe you could even have some kind of non-fiction TV show. Anyway, one Shmaluigi special to go.
Thanks. Just the way I like it. My favorite coffee, back at a semi-reasonable price. As I walked back to my office, I started to think about things. Even though the whole killing game investigation turned out to be a dud, somehow I felt better. Even that Jojo Mart construction site didn't bother me anymore. Well, not that much anyway. Someday I would redeem myself for the blunder at Fred Pasture, but honestly, I didn't really feel like I had to anymore. More importantly, Someday I'll honor Miss Sky's legacy and finish what she started. Someday.